Trish.
Hi, Crystal.
Thanks for joining me for episode 2 of Work Your Network.
I'm excited.
I am so glad to have you. You have been in my network for over 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a long time. We worked
25.
Together. And so I'm just so excited to have this conversation with you. So thank you again for joining me. So with that being said, us being friends a long time, there was a time where you had a little bit of a rough spot.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, you could not get a job.
Nope.
And being your friend during that period, we worked together and then we kind of went our own separate ways doing our own thing. And then there was this period where you just couldn't get a job. You finished school, you got your degree, and gosh, I know that was rough. First of all, how long did it last? For context. And then how did you keep pushing?
So I was really thinking about it, and it was close to 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because I've always been able to get a job. So I figured, it's not a big deal. I'll just quit now and then just focus on school, and then I'll get a job because I'll have my degree. Well, that didn't work. And I figured I was so positive in thinking, well, I have a college degree, so I will be able to get a job. It's not going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
And then 9/11 hit, and it was a big deal. And that just made it even worse. But I had to keep trying, and I would get rejected, and it wasn't fun being rejected.
Yeah.
But some of them would actually give me feedback. Like I could contact them and ask them, well, what did I do? What could I have done to have gotten the position? And a lot of them said I was just overqualified because of having a college education. But I applied, so I wanted the job. I was willing to be there to just start off again, since I had been out of the workforce for so long. But I kept telling myself, well, if you don't apply, the answer is already no. So you have to keep applying. And that became my full-time job. Apply, and, getting to temp agencies so I could still make a little bit of money. But yeah, and it happened, but I got a part-time job, and then that eventually turned into a full-time job. And it was hard, but I had a lot of support.
Well, 3 years.
Yeah.
You thank God you had some support. I loved this message that if you don't apply, the answer is already no. Gosh, I mean, how many things does that apply to in itself? Like, that doesn't apply to just jobs. You could apply that concept to anything, like a scholarship, a grant, a loan for home ownership, right? It's just, there's so many things that we could apply that concept to. So that's great. Like, I'm sure a lot of people could find something in that. We talked about this a little bit earlier, and you said, the more no's you got, it got a little bit easier. It didn't sting quite as much. Toughened your skin a little bit. Can you talk a little bit about maybe that part of it for you?
It was hard at first hearing those no's, because you don't want to hear no. We're used to hearing, yes, you got the job. Oh, we're so excited for you to be with us. Or, yes, come hang out with us, all that good stuff.
Join the team.
Yeah, come on. And after a while, it was just a 2-letter word. Okay, no. Then that wasn't meant for me. That wasn't part of my journey. And I'm meant to do something different. So I had to keep going until that no turned into yes.
Yeah.
And you just keep working. It's hard. You have to be strong. And you're going to have those moments of ups and downs, and you're going to have your little pity party, but you've got to keep moving. You
Yeah.
can't just stay and wallow.
Dang, wallow
But
sounds deep. You can't just stay and wallow. Like,
no.
you don't hear that one too much.
Being a teacher, you have to use old school terms and phrases to get them to pay attention to.
I am going to add that to my vocabulary today.
Yeah, because they'll pay attention. Like, what did you just say? Oh, I said this.
Don't wallow.
Yeah, don't wallow. So it's just a matter of you got to keep moving forward. You can't just stand still. If you stand still, you're never going to get anywhere. It's just like getting the no or not applying. Well, okay, well, let's just keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's so cool about that is, one day the no did turn into a yes, right? Yeah. And now you've been in education for, I think you said 14 to 15 years. Like,
yeah, I did.
You found your sweet spot and you stuck with it. Yep. So I want to know, you're a middle school teacher and teaching is not easy. I mean, kudos to you for being in a space where year after year you show up for our kids. I wonder how you stay motivated year after year. Like, how do you continue to show up with fresh energy when, that back to school start date comes back around every August 1st?
July.
Now it's July. Okay.
Yeah.
A long time ago it was September.
Yeah.
Just keep inching up a little bit.
Yeah. I've been thinking about that question, and it's my passion for teaching. Yeah, I teach pretty much the same thing every year, but my audience is always different. So what worked one year doesn't work the next year, and you have to revamp. You always have to be on your toes. And it's like a performance. If the kids don't buy into you, they're not going to buy into anything. They're going to be like, whatever, I'm not going to do whatever. I'm just going to. So you've got to be passionate about what you're teaching.
Okay.
And I teach history, and kids don't like history.
I mean,
parents don't like history.
Who just shows up and they're like, yeah, history is the business. You got to make it fun.
Yeah. And these are 11, 12-year-olds. So they're still pre-puberty. Some of them are into puberty. And you got to think about everything that's inundating them with social media, what's going on at home. And kids that are loved at home come to school to learn. Kids that are not loved at home come to school to be loved. So you've got to love what you do so they're excited to come into your room. And I'm constantly doing research on, okay, what can I do to get these kids engaged? And I always start the first quarter with, okay, this is what I want to try. And then they tell me yes or no based off of their interactions with me, their interaction with the work, their effort. So I have to meet them. It's not about me. It's getting to know them. But that first quarter, I've got to show them me before they can show me them. And then I balance it out. It's like, oh, you guys like this, you like that. All right. And then I can add those things and elements into the lessons so that they'll learn. And it keeps me excited. And it makes them feel heard and seen so they'll want to come to class. So I think, it's that. I still have, even though it's been almost 14, 15 years, it's a lot.
Well, I love how you say you adjust to what meets their needs, what their interests are. You try to really get their buy-in,
Mm-hmm.
but you come out in a way with like this energy that, slowly reels them
That
in.
makes
I would say that probably not every educator goes in with that approach and that mindset. And I'm wondering, was there something in your early years that somewhat kind of said, maybe I should approach it this way? Like, this is my way and this is why.
Well, I know my first principal when I was teaching third grade, she was really, really tough, like tough. And she made me realize I'm not meant for elementary kids and I
Okay.
should go back to middle school and really own what I was teaching. So I had to become the master of ancient civilizations. Like, you had to know it inside and out. So I made sure whatever I was teaching, I did more research. So if a kid were to ask me a question, I would have a little bit of feedback to them. I'm not a historian by any means because I teach too much to do that. But to let the kids know, yeah, I know what I'm talking about, that really pushed me. I've had some principals that were very supportive and, okay, let's keep doing this. Let's keep doing these projects and this social learning, because when you make learning a game, kids learn.
Yeah.
They play. They're playing. And that's what our kids are missing. They've forgotten how to play because of
Mm,
electronics and social
yeah.
media at such a young age.
Yeah.
So I just keep trying to find new things that I'm like, okay, how does this work with the way I teach and way my students need me to teach? How can I incorporate this into 57 minutes and get 34 to 30 students to get to work right away so we're not wasting any time? It's
Yeah.
hard. And it's trial and error. It's like, okay, reflection time. And this didn't work. So I leave myself notes. Try again.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's another thing that can probably apply to any of us is trial and error is just part of the journey. There's
Yeah.
going to be some wins, there's going to be some losses, and you adjust. I would say that one of the things we talked about was that, teaching for many folks is not their first career choice. Like, some people get into that game, their second or third time around, because they find that, maybe they have a skill set from another area they could apply here and be effective. I'm wondering from you, because we talked a little bit about this, like, what were some of those skills? Because you weren't always a teacher, like, you did some things before, but throughout your career, whatever it is, which I loved your words here, was that you take your skill set with you career to career. You have
Mm-hmm.
your college degree, which is just one tool in your toolbox, really. And you gain your experience with some of these wins, some of these losses along the way. You adjust. You either create a new lane, or you adjust to the lane that you're in.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we do when we reinvent ourselves and we start a new career, right? You take your
Mm-hmm.
skill set with you and some of that knowledge you've picked up along the way. You've worked with some folks that you said, career wise, they started teaching like further down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you think that education for you is something that you'll stick with, or do you also kind of see like you'll take what you've learned here and do something else in a few years?
Um, if I could retire from teaching and be done, that'd be great.
Okay.
But I can see just with longevity, family history, all that kind of stuff, I probably should be working a little bit longer. Then I think I can retire in like 6 or 7 years. So
So
it's
what will
one
you
of
do
those.
with all your time? Like 6 years? Come on.
Well, hopefully I could be a grandma.
Okay.
So there's some plans,
That's reinventing yourself.
Hey, I know. And one thing about teaching is because it's so demanding and there's so much on our plates. Like a part of me is just like, if I were to leave teaching, I'll go get a job at Costco for a little while and be like, it's not that big a deal. We need to calm down. It's Costco. Because so many people make things like, oh my gosh, so dramatic. It's like, no, 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 no. You don't know drama until you've been in education.
Oh, right.
Then there's drama. Just all the different, because we have a front row seat to all of our students. I have 151 students. I see what's going on and I have to adjust to 151 kids. That's impossible. But being able to manage and navigate through there, you learn to pick your battles. And that's I can see that as being one of the hardest transitions for people who come into teaching, who've been in corporate world, or if they've owned their own business, they don't know what battles to pick. And that's one of the harder parts. It's like, am I willing to die on this hill over an 11-year-old? No, let it go. Let them learn. Teach a lesson, move on. Show them that compassion and show them that we make mistakes. We all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect. And that's the biggest thing that I'm seeing with our students. They don't know how to learn from their mistakes. They think they have to be perfect all the time. I'm like, why? You guys see me make mistakes all the time. You correct my mistake. They're like, Miss Lee, hey, you made a mistake. Oh, let me fix that. And showing them that and no, ill will towards them. Like, how dare you? So many people don't know how to do that. It's just a mistake.
People don't know how to do that. We don't know how to fail gracefully. We're so hard on ourselves, and it's hard to give our own self permission sometimes to, take the L and just kind of keep moving. Sometimes we're our own worst critic,
Yeah.
And it stalls us from progress. And I think that's kind of like a little bit about your point is you adjust, you fix it, and you just move on. And some people, when they come into this space, they don't know how to do that so easily. And
well, I mean, for education, every hour we get to do it all over again. So we have a quicker, especially, with middle school and high school, we get a new class every hour. So, I learned from there. Here's that. Oh, you guys, these questions came up from your peers in another class. So each hour gets better. Each hour gets faster. Because I've learned with my kids, and the mistakes we've made, we've gone through it together. So that makes it so much easier.
wow.
With being able to reflect and being able to be more humble with my mistakes, because I do set myself for really high standards because I want to do well by my students.
Yeah.
And I look back at the end of the year and I always reflect, I'm like, look how much they've grown. I mean, there's only a small population that did not grow academically, but maybe they grew socially and they're able to manage their emotions better. So it's
like wins in different areas. It's not
yeah,
just, grades,
sure.
if you will.
Yeah. Like, I don't care about grades. I care about their effort, because their effort is what's going to lead them into the workforce. It's what's going to help them persevere with trying out for the play or band or a sport, because they know, okay, I can try this and we'll see what happens.
Wow. Yeah. It just serves multiple purposes when you look at it from that lens. Well, speaking of transition, we're all transitioning into this AI space in one way or another. And I'd love to know, as a K-12 educator, are you leveraging AI? I just wonder, are your kids using it? Do you use it in the classroom? How is that looking for you?
So at the beginning of the year, I tried it because I wanted to level up our questioning to get kids thinking. And I've tried a couple of different AI sites, went on to TikTok to see who I should use and went
Okay.
from there.
Good old
And
TikTok as a resource.
it is a resource for us educators because we know what's trending, we know what to look for.
Okay.
But with AI, I really tried. And what I noticed is that it's really suitable for older grades, eighth graders who are about, they're transitioning into high school. But my kids weren't utilizing it. And when I was trying to use it to generate higher level questioning, they weren't good. They
Okay.
were what I would create, like on a whim, like, oh, here you go. And I know that AI is learning. The more you put in, the more it gets better. So I think next year I'm going to try it again because I do know that our eighth grade teachers, especially our science teachers, have been using it to level up their questioning and getting the kids to think more and discuss. So I see it in our school, but I'm not utilizing it. Our principal isn't pushing it like she used to.
Wow.
Well, I don't really think it fits for our educational environment. I
Okay.
can see it for if we had more like liberal arts with artwork and all that kind of stuff to generate things. Because I see how AI generates artwork, and some of it's pretty cool, and some of it's kind of creepy. And the kids and I make jokes about that actually today, because we were looking at Middle Ages artwork, and I'm like, that kind of looks like AI, guys, and they were like, it does. So
Tell me, what grade is this again?
sixth grade
Okay.
in a middle school setting. So
Yeah.
they're the little guys on the totem pole, but they grow so much in those 3 years getting them ready for high school. So I'll keep trying until it works, or it's just not going to work. So we'll go from there.
Well, like you said, year after year, you kind of just like, check in with, where they're at, what they need, and you adjust from there. And that's a very honest answer. It's like, I'm not using it, but there's other folks using it, and, I'll give it another try. And maybe that's a lot of folks, they don't really know how to use it. They're just kind of like getting their feet wet with it a little bit. But the more we all kind of like expand our knowledge about, how we can leverage it for just personal and professional, I guess, we'll figure it out along the way.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to break it, so just keep clicking on little things and see what happens.
just keep trying different prompts.
I'm like, what's going on? Do I need to add this? What's the wording? And
I guess you could get your prompts from TikTok if that's your go-to trendy resource.
It has, that has been the best social media to understanding what kids are thinking and what they're seeing.
Okay.
Because it is a different language. And if you understand what they're talking about, they're like, oh, and their lingo, and they teach you, like every year the slang changes. And now I'm like, I'm Sigma apparently. I don't know. It kind of means that you're cool, but
I had no idea. And
it just started.
Probably failing as a parent that I don't stay on top of it. But I just found out what rent free in your mind is. This is like so off subject.
Yeah.
But I was like, what? Free rent? What does that mean?
Oh, yeah.
And my dad
that's
was
old.
like, no, rent free.
Yeah.
So, yeah, maybe that's like a note to me to get on TikTok. I didn't think about it in that ways, but that makes a lot of sense. Like
It's
learn the
really interesting.
language,
Yeah.
get on TikTok. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I make my account very hard to find. It's not my name. You don't see my picture. I'm just on there as an educational resource. And it's for giggles.
That makes so much sense. And I love that perspective. It's like, I'm not on there for just playing around. I'm trying to learn what my kids in my class are talking about. You know, what do they care about? How do they relate to one another and how they talk amongst themselves? Yeah.
Because on Teacher Talk, I'm on there seeing what other teachers are doing. And that's how I found out about the AI on which sites to use.
Mm-hmm.
And, one I didn't like. And then I went to the other one, like, oh, this one's a little bit better. And, and then the year went on and it wasn't a daily practice to keep using it. And, I just have to go back to it again at the beginning of the year.
In July.
Yeah, in July. Goodness.
Well, this was really good. I think there was a lot of like good takeaways just to kind of give us a little bit of insight into K-12 and, how to, for anyone that's not even in K-12, but just a little bit of perspective for those who are out of work for a long period of time and how to just like keep pushing. Like we've all been there when we've been out of work, and we need to tell ourselves, take the no's, but it gets better. Mm-hmm. Eventually there's a yes around the corner. But gosh, I loved, if you don't apply, it's already no. I mean, Anybody could, hold that one close and take action. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's it. It was painless, right?
Hey, yeah, that was great.
Okay, Irish.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Definitely subscribe if you want to catch more episodes of Work Your Network. They're definitely coming your way. And if you want to learn more about me, Career Coach CJ, check me out on Instagram.